What's up, Browns fans? Welcome to episode 16 of the Dawgs podcast. Let's kick this thing off.
Welcome to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts Blake Reneker, Zach Kopp, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of the Dawgs. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Stay up to date on all our episodes. Any other content we put out. It's good to see you guys again.
Yeah, good to be back.
1 week closer to the NFL, real football.
Yes.
We actually had some high school football over the weekend. We had a little bit of college.
Yes.
So
2 weeks away, right?
2 weeks out. Yeah.
Browns, Ravens.
I got to watch my first, team loss. I'm not a Massillon Tiger fan, but it's big time in our house.
Yeah, you married into it.
Yeah, married into it. And they blew it in the fourth quarter. Very Massillon.
Good.
It was tough. A lot of depression at the house. Not really for me. I just went to bed. It's fine.
Well, so a little bit of happiness then. This is the last week without NFL.
Yeah.
A week from Thursday night.
Right.
Kicks off.
really,
Thank goodness.
Yes, sir.
Man, I'm excited.
Crazy to
It's
think.
here, man. It's here. It's weird without the preseason. You almost
Yeah.
We're
you
just
don't
talking
have
about,
the oh, this is the fourth game.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready to go.
we're
Like
talking
you
about
might
our
lose
undefeated
track.
record and how great we look and getting ready to head into things, into the rough part of the season.
how awesome is it going to be talking real games on this show?
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
gonna
wait.
We're going to have to figure out, and for all the listeners out there, we are going to figure out how we're going to do this to turn these episodes around in a quick amount of time after each game, so we can recap.
Yeah.
It'd be we'll just come here and watch a game on this TV and then do it live.
I've actually thought about that.
Okay.
We can't stream the game live, but we could watch it and comment on it live.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we could get away with doing live just because sometimes they make me real mad.
Yeah.
And we're trying to keep this thing PG.
Yeah, we're only on a 2-second delay.
Yeah.
Josh is not going to be able to edit out some of the things that are going to happen. You do a great job. I don't know.
We
I
don't
don't know
have-
if you're up for it.
Well,
We don't
can
have
do
to
it.
like watch the game like we have to like wait until the game is like halfway in or whatnot, then start watching it and do our live thing. So Josh had time to like pause.
Could do a swear jar and raise money for charity or something.
Yeah, we could do
Somebody's
that.
going to college for free.
Oh, man. All right. Well, before we move into this episode, obviously some big things happened this past weekend. On a more somber note, Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, Vontae Mack, Jackie Robinson passed away, colon cancer. It's super sad news. We just wanted to pass our condolences along to, his family. They're probably not going to see this, but, just in case. And, everybody who's a fan of him, because I know I was a big fan.
Yeah.
Not just the Black Panther movies, which I loved in the Marvel movies, but Draft Day is like one of my favorite sports movies, so, just sad news this past weekend.
Well, and it serves as a reminder, too, for everybody out there, like, take care of yourself, watch your health, monitor, if something's not right, look into it. Because like Zach said before the show, it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, how much money you have. Disease is disease, and it's going to...
Yep. My father-in-law just passed away to the exact same thing. So, I mean...
It's horrible.
Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter anything like that. Make sure you look out for yourself.
Yeah, life's short. If you want to start a podcast, just do it.
Well, and that's true, man. Like, I think everybody should have a podcast. Just do it.
Yep.
Yeah, so... All right, well, let's move on to some, better news. I know we're, a Cleveland Browns podcast, football first, but I think, we're all big-time Cleveland sports fans, and we do have a Cleveland team right now that's started off maybe a little slow, but we're doing some pretty big things. How about the Tribe?
Yes.
I mean, AL first place in the AL Central. Not that long ago, we were, third?
Yeah, third. Yeah. For most of the...
It's going to be tight, though. I mean, we're halfway through the season, but, man, the Central is very good this year.
Yeah, and it's hard to get any really big separation because you're playing your division opponents more often than you would normally.
Yep.
That's where you're playing a lot of your games, and that's just because I don't think they want different teams traveling to different parts. They're not in a bubble in the major leagues. They're going to be. I don't know if you guys saw, but postseason World Series are going to be held in specific places, California and Texas. But I think that they're trying to do their little bit of a bubble without saying they're in a bubble like the NBA is.
Right.
So Indians have won 7 of their last 10, 21-12 record. And I just saw, I don't think it was last night, it was 2 nights ago, we had like 21 hits.
Yeah.
That's more hits than we had the first 3 weeks of the season.
Bats are finally coming alive. Pitching staff's amazing.
It's insane.
Imagine if we don't trade Trevor Bauer.
But pitching staff is amazing, but we are shopping
Clevenger.
Yeah, Clevenger is on the trading block.
It's so crazy.
I think it's a lot. And we're going to kind of get into the Earl Thomas situation with Baltimore and how I think Mike Clevenger is a little bit kind of like that. I think that there's some players probably on the team that don't like him, or he didn't care too much about being suspended because he left and didn't follow the rules. And it could be one of those types of situations where it's like, hey, a lot of the guys don't want him here. He's a hot commodity right now. We could get something in return. Before things go really south and then we can't get anything for him because nobody wants him.
Yeah, did you guys see the double play to end the game in extras yesterday?
Yeah, I did see that.
I did not.
Yeah, it was
huge mess up.
Yeah, for St. Louis's part. Yeah, they had a guy on third, and what was it? A line drive straight to Santana at first or something?
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah,
the guy just was off third base, just stood there. And it was like, what are you doing? And he just ran across the field and
I wasn't listening to Hamilton, but I can't imagine what he said during that, watching that unfold.
He's probably thrilled.
Oh, it was a hot grounder is what it was, because he bobbled it for a second, then got the first out, and then that guy was like, should I go home? And then he was, I'm
huge,
totally screwed.
Yeah, big error, big error. But
yeah.
Oh man. Well, hey, let's hope the Tribe can continue that. I'd love to see a World Series title.
I don't care.
Even in a shortened season, I don't care.
I don't care at all.
No asterisk on that one.
Nope.
Just
I want a title.
It is what it is.
That's a good chance to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, if anything, they're allowing more teams in the playoffs. It'd be harder to win, you'd think.
Well, and the Indians are usually either a hot start or a hot finish.
Yeah.
Let's just make it a hot middle and just,
I
run it
agree.
straight into the playoffs.
I will say the shortened season can help a team like the Tribe just because if you get hot, there's almost not enough time to get hot and cool down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the season, you know what I mean? Like sometimes the Indians, they get real hot and then they cool off it, too early.
Well, it's such a long season.
It's a weird thing too.
Usually.
Like a team. So this year, I think World Series wise, like I know talent prevails eventually, but like you have a Yankees team that is absolutely loaded. Just finally broke a 7-game losing streak yesterday.
Yeah.
Like they're probably done in a season like this. 7 games in a row, you lose.
Yeah, you don't have those injuries either. How many times with the Indians is it like, they're on a roll and it's like 2 months left in the year and then Corey Kluber can't throw anymore. And then he tries to throw in a playoff game, gives up 8 runs.
Yeah.
Trevor Bauer's working on his drone and cuts his finger off.
Yeah, and then throws the ball in the outfield. And
Oh my word.
he did a fake beer chug during the game yesterday. It was pretty awesome.
By the way, I don't know if you guys don't follow Trevor Bauer on social media,
He's
follow
electric
Trevor Bauer.
He's awesome.
He is
He's
pure
always
gold.
Yeah.
He does not care. He gives
about anybody. Not even the guy who runs the MLB. He doesn't care, Manfred. He doesn't care about Chick because he's going to say what he wants.
That's awesome.
And Indians doing all this without Francona, too. Francona's been in and out the past couple weeks, having some health issues of his own.
Crazy.
So,
Tribe.
Roll Tribe.
Yep.
Let's get that title. All right, so let's move into some, around the NFL type stuff. We are a football podcast, I guess. We touched on this last week. The Ravens cut Earl Thomas. We dropped that bomb live, when we saw the update. That's how cool we are. Yep. But one thing I didn't expect to happen, and I feel like it opened up because of some injuries that we're going to get into later. The Browns have actually found themselves on, a short list of potential favorites to land Earl Thomas. And I don't know about you guys, but that tickles my fancy.
It couldn't hurt.
No.
I don't know. All things considered, I guess we'll get into it, but oh my gosh.
We're getting to the point where it's either we sign him or we play 10 guys on defense.
Yeah.
The Browns have just been crushed by injuries.
We're one injury away from just being like, we don't care. We just do whatever you want with our defense.
So I'm gonna go opposite of you guys. I don't want him. I don't want him.
Get out of town.
I don't want him. I don't want his attitude. I don't want the player. Nobody on the Ravens, one of the most player, Harbaugh didn't even like the guy. Harbaugh loves everybody. I mean, he's a player's coach. Nobody on the Ravens liked this guy, which is why they didn't bring him back. Notable guy last year, just quitting on plays, not selling out on any type of plays. Did it against the Browns in the Nick Chubb run. Just quit running after him. Said after the game that he didn't want to finish running after him because he didn't want to get injured. He was 10 yards behind the play and he just like quit.
All right.
Well,
And he got a Pro Bowl
him.
last year. So.
It's a precedent. I couldn't imagine if I watched a Browns player just not run after somebody and just quit on a play, I'd be livid.
Yeah.
Well,
You'd be like this. Oh, good thing he didn't keep running after him because he might have got injured.
Now, the thing with
Got turf toe.
The thing with Earl Thomas, kind of to your point, Zach, is he's still not signed.
Right.
You know, he was cut a week ago now at this recording.
Yeah.
Even in that recording, we said, hey, by the time this podcast comes out,
He'll
probably be signed. He's still not signed. We're still talking about him.
So I read an interesting article. We said basically Dallas, I can't remember the teams exactly, but Dallas and 49ers were two of the big ones. Dallas and 49ers are basically holding off. They're good.
Yep.
And I even saw something, our guy Zeke,
Yep.
he said, you know,
I like the guys
we have. Now, like, if you read the whole article, if you see it at a headline, you're like, wow, that's a shot. Basically says, hey, you know, vets are great. He's a great vet. He'd be a lot for our team. You know, what's one more vet? It's awesome. It'd be great, but I like the guys we have.
Was it you last week that said about the Cowboys cleared cap space, and we thought it was for Thomas?
We thought for sure
but
it was
then
for
I
him.
saw it was for Prescott.
True. Yeah.
So
The crazy thing too is, I read an article like really right before we got in here, and so he filed a grievance.
Yes.
This is Thomas filed a grievance against the Ravens because he basically wants his guaranteed money for the year.
Like Antonio Brown all over again.
Yep,
Here we
yep.
go.
And they're basically saying he's not even really worried about getting to a team until the beginning of September.
or at the beginning of September. That's like 2 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Here's the thing is I'm going to deal with the little bit of head case that he might be because he's an old world safety and we need a safety. And would that not just be awesome to just stick it to the Ravens?
It would be, but I don't
Do you want to destroy your team? Like your
Destroy what team?
Well, the more we
your
talk
head, your
about
new
it,
coach has to deal with.
There you go.
An Earl Thomas attitude coming in
I
on
was
your
gonna
defense.
say, why would you
Another big personality.
do that to a first-time head coach whenever you don't have to?
Okay,
But we
and
kind of have to.
We don't have to.
what are the guys out there? Or what are the teams out there? I'd say Ravens are one of them that deal with guys like Earl Thomas that are like, they bring these guys in. The Patriots, you know, a Ravens team, the Steelers, they bring in like these head kids.
Seahawks is a big one. New Orleans.
And who didn't he work out for? The Ravens and the Seahawks.
Who the Ravens brought in that were attitude problems? That
They had Ray Lewis for how long? The guy got away with murder.
Yeah, but as far as the NFL is concerned, he was always a model citizen. There's not one Ravens player I could think of that they've picked up that I've been, that guy's a head case. He's going to destroy their team, and then they've magically made
Earl
him
Thomas
work.
was one of them, and he's no longer there.
No.
So you got like 49ers interested in him. One of the biggest players in 49ers history, Jerry Rice, came out and said, you guys might want to think twice about being interested in this guy.
Kyle Shanahan even said today, he said, you know, I like the safeties that we have. We got guys. We got guys that are capable.
Wasn't it Richard Sherman was advocating for Earl Thomas, his character and stuff, and even he, you know, Shanahan's still no. Yeah.
Here's my thing. Is the 49ers just went to a Super Bowl and they have an established culture. We don't have any of that. We just got to win some games.
Yeah, I'm sticking to my opinion. I don't want him. I don't want the problems. I'll deal with Browns. I just got a thing why we got on the air that the Browns are interested in signing Logan Ryan. Played for the Titans the last 3 years. He's a free agent. Wants a lot of money. Wants $10 million a year. They're not sure that they want to pay him that much.
Well, we have the space.
Yeah.
So
and he's
corner,
good.
Right?
Corner safety. He was a cornerback for Houston back in the day. Then he transitioned over to safety. So he could play both spots. He actually picked off Baker week 1 last year.
It wouldn't hurt to have somebody with a little versatility out there because God knows who's going down next.
Yeah.
From a talent aspect, I think it would be a nice pickup. And honestly, you could probably get him on a budget because I don't see that many teams going after him.
I mean, if they haven't gone after him yet.
Yeah.
Game starting, 10 days?
Mm-hmm.
But how much is that him going, through his agent? Hey,
and I got things to take care of. He just switched agent in the article I read. He just switched agents too. So agent probably was telling him, hey man, market's not there. You're not getting $10 million. He's like, okay, you're fired. Hey, you give me $10 million a year.
Go out there and give me my money.
Browns also last week we talked about Malcolm Smith. Mm-hmm. We did end up signing him. It was like the very next day or hours later.
Well done.
He was like a prophet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we signed him. Didn't realize that it is a former Super Bowl MVP. Didn't realize that when we were talking about
What's your feelings on that, Blake?
Yeah, so you read the article that says Browns signed former Super Bowl MVP, and you're like, oh, sweet. And then you're like, he hasn't stuck on the team since then.
Yeah.
He played in that Super Bowl. I remember him in that Super Bowl.
Yep.
Like, once I read the article, I was like, oh, man, I remember this guy. And then he hasn't played significant time since.
No, he's bounced around. Seahawks, Raiders for a year, 49ers for a season, Jaguars, Cowboys last year. So, I mean, I don't think that he's coming in going to be our captain, leader of the defense like Joe Schobert type of a player, but we needed somebody, and there's plenty of other guys out there. So I know that we're going to get into somebody's feelings about the Browns and their roster management and guys they should go after. So I'll let that simmer down here for a minute.
Well,
or just get it right back into it.
Speaking of guys that we've actually talked about the Browns adding on this podcast, former Jaguars DN Unique Ngakoue traded to the Vikings late last night or early this morning.
Yeah,
for a second and a 5th round pick.
Conditional.
It could go back up. I think I read it could go up to another second or third, depending on. So, whenever we were potentially shopping for this guy, weren't they wanting like a first?
They wanted like a first and a Njoku.
Yeah. So the Vikings got him, in my opinion, on a steal. And I know Justin, little bit hurt, that like we're just kind of letting guys go. Us not signing this guy, to me, says we don't see that as big as a need as we thought it was 3 weeks ago before everybody else on our team got injured.
Well, so hear me out on this. I feel like you can never have enough depth at a position. Obviously, Browns management right now feels like we don't need any depth at all. Like, we have holes at multiple positions right now. But I guess we'll get into that. Not like you're saying end isn't a concern, right? Is that what you're going to tell me?
D-line in general is probably the one place where we have not been affected by injury, and we still have
except for D tackle.
Yeah,
D tackle. We're
hurting.
Yeah, but Unique Ngakoue is not a D tackle.
Well, and how consistent was Olivier Vernon last year?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know that we're willing to not give away, I guess, a second and a 5th, a conditional 5th for a guy that he's going to go to the Vikings and just completely revamp that defense again. That defense was already really, really good, and they let Everson Griffin go and got a way better version of Everson Griffin.
Yep.
Younger, more athletic.
And he's restructuring his deal. Like, we were worried about the money. We were like, we're not paying this guy.
$17 million.
Yeah, we're not going to pay this guy, But he's actually restructuring from the $17 million down to 12.
Oh, cool.
Down to 12. So that make you feel a little better?
Yeah. For this season, but he's still going to want a big contract after this season.
Yeah, but he's also, that's the thing too, like Olivier Vernon just had a really bad season. He had to take less money. I think that's the kind of position that if he comes out and he wouldn't have a great season with the Browns, nobody's giving him that kind of money. So we're likely to re-sign him for a lower amount.
So you're projecting a bad season for a guy that you wanted us to trade for?
No, I'm just projecting a huge
I'm just
season.
saying that just because we sign him doesn't mean that we got to give him $20 million next year.
So you would have traded for somebody that we were only going to keep for one season?
Possibly, with the roster that we got to throw out there, possibly.
I feel like the Browns
you're losing. You have the money
now, right?
Yeah, you have the money to do it this year. Next year, you get that money back. If it doesn't work out, you just cut your ties.
Dirty right now.
I feel like the next, it might even be the next. I figured if Baker's our guy, which we'll also get into that. If Baker's our guy, our window is 3-4 years with the roster that we have. We have a lot of young guys and stuff like that, and we'll re-sign some of those guys. But those young guys are going to want a lot of money here in like 3-4 years.
I would have taken him. For me, though, because of all the injury, I feel like D-end, it wasn't a need. I feel like if we're going to trade a second and a 5th, we should trade it for a safety or a linebacker.
And trust me,
you know what I mean?
I completely agree, which we're not doing that either.
Well, we haven't done it yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But, so, I don't know. To me,
the season starts in like a week.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, they just
who cares about a defensive playbook? Let's go out there and tackle whoever has the ball. No scheme. Don't worry about it.
Here's
we'll
the thing,
fine.
though. Most of these guys in the NFL, your scheme, there's a 3-4 and there's a 4-3. For the most part, they're all the same. It's just the lingo you got to learn.
Yep.
Yeah, I would imagine that switching teams and learning their defensive scheme would be a lot easier transition than trying to learn a new playbook on offense.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it's see ball, get ball.
Yeah.
Line up over the tackle and go rush the quarterback. So,
I hope it's that easy for us. I hope it's that easy.
But, we'll see what the Browns do, hopefully,
Well, this is where I'm like very frustrated this year that there's no preseason
here we
because
yes,
preseasons whenever you get to see guys go out there that you have no idea who they are.
Yep.
It was your 4th round pick or whatever. A guy's just supposed to be depth, and all of a sudden he's out like Mack Wilson last year. Saw him in preseason games. You're like, wow, we got a freaking steal in the 5th round for this.
or Avery.
Yeah, Jannard Avery. And this year we just don't know. Like, as far as the 4 of us sitting here talking Browns, it's like we have no idea.
Yeah,
Because all we have are the camp reports.
Based on Zagura's report.
Yeah.
Everybody's balling out there.
Blake's favorite guy on Twitter.
hey, he's one of my
I got a lot of love for him.
Yeah. He's all about the Browns, man.
Hey, he rubbed me the wrong way. He stole our content. Stole our idea a couple weeks. No, that'd been a month or 2 back already now.
We let him know about it.
Yeah, never reached out. Scared of us.
So moving to some more Brown specific, last week we opened the show with, some injuries starting to happen. It did not slow down in the last 7 days. In fact, this one hurts me the most, maybe. Grant Delpit out for the season with an Achilles tear. I mean, if you guys have listened to this show, you know that we've been crazy high on Grant Delpit.
Psyched about it.
And, I mean, not only do we lose him for this season, but now, you got that doubt in your mind that starts to creep in, like, this dude was hurt in college.
Yeah.
I know he played through the injury in college, but he didn't play as high of a level, and now he ggets hurt first year in the NFL.
He slipped in the draft. People were scared about it, so there was something else there, physically wise, that everybody else was kind of cautious.
So it's one of those. So I don't want to, people come. I mean, Adrian Peterson rushed for 2,000 yards after tearing his ACL. So, it's not a death sentence. But then, as a Browns fan and seeing this kind of thing happen to us over and over my whole life, that little bit of doubt starts to creep in. Like, well, I mean, what if we draft this guy, we're high on him? What if we never see him do anything for the Browns?
Yeah, the good thing is, I mean, possibly is he's, 22 years old.
Super young, yeah.
He's young. He's got that young body. Young bodies heal better than old bodies. Mm-hmm. So he's got a better chance to heal and come back on a full recovery from this. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. You're right. I mean, now we got to be worried about it. But at least he's not 29 and rupturing his Achilles.
Right.
So...
And you got, 2 veteran guys right now on the defense. You got Carl Joseph, you got Andrew Sandejo.
Thank God we signed those guys.
Yeah, seriously.
No kidding.
Looking back on our one of our first podcast episodes about the free agent signings, like
I was big on Carl Joseph signing.
Like, yeah, thank God we have them.
Yeah, so those 2, you got there to, fill the role. I think that Grant Delpit by, mid-season was going to be like our full-time guy. I don't know if he was necessarily going to be that right out of the gate because Carl Joseph is a proven guy. And it might have taken, Delpit a little bit more time. And I think that they were going to, I don't know how full go he was going in camp, but I was under the impression, like when things started, that they were kind of babying him a little bit more to like make sure he was 100% healthy. Yeah. And then now this happens.
Well, if he tore his Achilles, I'm going to assume that was a non-contact injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, you guys,
see
we called it
that all the time.
So my thing for looking at this, even as a Browns fan, this huge morale blow, like on a young defense. Like I know we say, hey, we've got these veteran guys here and there, but like this defense is very young. And like this guy was a guy that was going to come in and I figured 2-3 years down the road, we were going to be like, man,
Pro Bowler.
Heart of the defense kind of guy. The thing that's awful too is Achilles. You usually hear more in basketball, but Achilles tear is explosiveness is gone. It takes forever to heal. They lose. I mean, there's guys that they say, hey, they'll never be the same Kobe. I mean, Kobe was still good after he came back, but he was not the same Kobe, but he was also way older.
Yeah.
Right. I'll give you guys that.
Right.
But like, if you see Achilles, it's not good.
Now, what was Deshaun Watson? Was that ACL or was that Achilles? That was a non-contact.
Ooh,
his rookie year in practice. I remember that.
Stat guy.
I'll find it out.
He's on the keyboard.
Well, and the thing, he was super young when it happened to him, and he came back, and
you would never know. You would never know.
That's the thing for me is these injuries, these soft tissue injuries, they can nag you for a long time, but this dude's going to get, I mean, he's going to go see probably what, Dr. James Andrews?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Watson was the ACL. Just throwing that out there.
So, an ACL used to be seen as like, that was your career killer. That was like the Tommy John surgery in the NFL. And anymore, I mean, that used to be a year-long injury, and now you're seeing people tear their ACL and they're back in
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the world?
So I'm hoping it's something that I'm hoping he recovers quickly. He's going to get the best surgery. He's going to have the best rehab, the best treatment. He's young. He's a world-class athlete. It just sucks. And, and then as we look, Greedy Williams is looking at missing significant time now with a shoulder injury.
Yep.
And at a point,
still got Kevin Johnson with the lacerated spleen or whatever it was.
So a month ago, we're weak at linebacker, but we're solid up front and we're solid in the back end. It's going to help mask for the linebacking core. And now we're
solid up front.
Yeah. Now we're thinning out everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's killing our defense. The Browns have been devastated by injuries so far. And to me, Greedy, we were looking to see him make that big jump in year 2 to really be like the Robin to, Denzel Ward's Batman. And this just sets him back. I mean, if he misses, I think I heard possibly 8 weeks.
Yeah. I would say, I think that's what I saw, and about the same amount of time probably for Kevin Johnson as well. So you've lost one of your better safeties, that you're hoping was going to be, one of your better safeties. Yep. You've lost your second cornerback and your slot cornerback.
Yeah, and where our bye week is positioned, I mean, with Greedy, that could be an entire first half of the season thing. They might just wait till, hey, let's get through the bye, give him that extra, 2 weeks to recover.
It's rough, man. And so now you got to hope guys like AJ Green, undrafted free agent, step up, and hopefully, I know we gave him the biggest undrafted free agent signing, in league history. So there's potential there. We obviously like what we see.
Now, what about Money Mitch? Okay, I thought I saw something about him being injured, but then I just read that he could be in line to start week 1. So
that's, if you guys remember on my fantasy team, I drafted Money Mitch ahead of Greedy.
Yep.
Because
and he almost wasn't. He might not have been a starter on the team this year.
Money Mitch, every time Money Mitch comes in for the Browns, he plays lights out. Yep. So losing Greedy obviously sucks, but Terrence Mitchell is going to be able to step in. But we can definitely not afford
to lose him.
We can't lose anybody else in that secondary, or we're going to be screwed. So
with Mitchell, he came back to practice Thursday. So
okay, good.
He had been sidelined from Monday to Thursday, but came back. He just returned. But it said that they're just
so
considerable injuries to the secondary.
Here's some of the names that you got out there. So AJ Green's not. I mean, I don't know when this came out. I just pulled up our depth chart. So you had Greedy as your right cornerback, Denzel Ward left. They had Carl Joseph and Sendejo. So this is pre-Greedy injury, but it would have to be after
Delpit,
because he's not on here. So safety-wise, you got Joseph, Sendejo, JT Hassel, and Redwine, which I remember Redwine. Hassel, I don't remember him. I don't remember that name. Cornerback behind Denzel Ward right now, you got Donnie Lewis Jr. and Robert Jackson.
Yep.
And then you got Terrence Mitchell behind Greedy. So, and then Kevin Johnson behind that, and then Donovan Alumba. So your two right cornerbacks are Mitchell and Alumba.
So we're dangerously close right now to be playing guys that we don't know who they are.
Well,
and I take a lot of pride in, I know the Browns roster pretty well. I don't know who these guys are.
Saturday is the cut down. So Saturday it says they got to cut it down from 80 to 53.
Okay.
So now this is where it's going to really suck for the Browns, because they got to try to figure out who are we keeping, who's injured, you know what I mean, and who's going to be let go from other positions that we thought we had good depth there, but now we can't afford to keep, the 6 wide receiver, whatever it is.
And we're keeping crap guys just because we're hurt at certain positions.
Right, yeah, you got to keep lesser, talented guys on the roster to fill for the injuries.
One thing I will say that'll help with that this year is the expanded practice squad. Mm-hmm. I think practice squad in the past is max is 6 guys.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be 20 this year. So, and then you can protect 6 guys every week that other people can't come and sign off your team. So that does help a little bit. I think we'll only carry 2 quarterbacks. I think our third quarterback will be on one of our protected practice squad players. So that frees up a spot. But it is, it's going to force our coaches and our GM to make some decisions that they probably didn't. They were like, we're not going to have to worry about that. We know what that is. We came into this season saying the only hole on the Browns team was right guard.
Not anymore.
Well, offensively. We knew linebacker
was going to be tough.
I'm with you.
But for the most,
yeah.
That was the biggest glaring hole. We were like, who's going to play right guard?
Well, if we're transitioning to the offense real quick, we can talk about Treader.
Yeah, hasn't practiced. Nope. And
they're saying our boy, he's looking really, really good.
Nick Harris?
Harris.
Yeah, so,
rookie.
And we called it.
Fourth round?
Was that third episode?
No,
back-to-back episode back in the day?
Was he a 5th rounder?
Yeah. He was a 5th.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Because 4th was Harrison Bryant. Unless he was the 2nd, 4th.
I can't remember, to be honest with you. I can't remember.
You guys talk about him. I'll look it up.
So, he is in pressing Bill Callahan, veteran, coach who's on our offensive line. And, Treader out recovering from that knee surgery, hasn't practiced yet. I mean, can we talk? I mean, is this not the worst possible scenario, like going into the season the Browns could have had, like team-wise?
Treader, they said it's just a scoop deal. Like, they're just scooping the knee out. It should only be like 2-3 weeks and he'll be fine. But, like, we already knew that it was going to be a little weird going into the season. When we go into this offense part, oh my goodness,
so Wills Stefanski did come out and commit in a press conference, that Wills is going to be on the starting line.
Good.
He actually came out and said that, so that's a good sign that we at least have that. But I think it's looking like Nick Harris is going to maybe be our starter week 1. And they're saying that he's great, he's great calling, the plays out, and he's doing all this. But week 1, you get Baltimore and their defense, and they don't do anything, normal, like on their defensive line. So he's really going to be put to the test. And like I said, I just think this is like, out of everything that has happened to the Browns, it is like worst case scenario. Everything that could gone wrong, like I felt like has gone wrong. We're losing people. You don't have the time to get your rookies ready. And you got a team, kind of more veteran, like a Steelers, just sitting back and like,
licking chops.
Yeah, Nick Harris doesn't.
We didn't need all that training camp anyway because we got all of our players are 30 and older.
Yeah.
Nick Harris would have really benefited from preseason games. He would have had at least 2, maybe some games, 3 quarters of playing center just to get his reps, to get his game experience. He doesn't have any of that now.
Yeah, so it worries me a little bit, especially, I mean, they're saying he's doing great. What are they supposed to say? They're supposed to come out and say Nick Harris is doing terrible.
Yeah.
We don't got a center. Yeah. We're going to have to bring Greg Robinson.
I will say
try to get him back.
Football coaches don't sugarcoat a lot, though. I was just reading something the other day, and they were talking about, or the wide receivers coach was talking about Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he was like, he's doing some stuff okay, but other things he sucks.
Well,
I was just like, oh man,
the beat reporters too, like. I've been reading a lot of beat reporters for other teams, just, kind of see how other teams are doing through camp and stuff. And, they don't sugarcoat stuff. Like, they'll straight up say, hey, this receiver dropped 3 passes, looked terrible today. This guy we never heard of had a touchdown. Like, they're very just cut and dry. Like, this is what I saw. This is how it is.
Yep.
I will say, I'm going to, life hands us lemons, make lemonade. I'm going to say, because Treader being injured, he's not really injured. He's recovering, so I don't have any worry about him. Like, he might miss week 1. I don't see him missing much more than that. This gave us a chance to see what Nick Harris could do. A guy that we brought in late in the draft, that
5th rounder. I looked it up and he's 21.
Yeah, and we didn't think this guy was going to get first team reps in camp.
No,
and now we're looking at him, and according to the coaches, he might start week 1, and they feel comfortable with him doing that. So, you got to, I guess, do what you can with what you're given. You got to play the cards you're dealt. And at least Nick Harris, it's starting to look like we got a real steal late in the draft.
One thing to look at, too, a lot of times with rookies is their age. So, say Nick Harris was a 23, 24-year-old rookie drafted in the 5th round. Well, that means, he played a lot of years in college and he only made it to the 5th round at age like 23 or 24. Mm-hmm. He's 21 and he got drafted in the 5th round of the NFL draft, which means he's pretty good at a young age. So that is a very good, telling sign of his future development.
And it's crazy too because the Bengals game is a quick turnaround, 4 days.
Yeah.
So he might
forgot about that.
He might be starting that game too, depending on.
We're going to get Browns football quick and fast.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, I can't imagine Stefanski like coming in. You looked at this roster, you look at the line, you're like, all right, well, we got some pieces together. We just drafted Wills. We're doing all right.
Okay.
Every morning he goes in the office and he's just like, Treader back.
Yeah. Who'd they card off today? Oh, great.
I did read that Jack Conklin looks good.
Good.
Yep.
So that, I feel like the Browns sometimes have brought in a high-profile free agent and they just sucked. So it's good to see that we brought in Conklin. He's living up to that. I also read that Jedrick Wills, he got named the starter, and they're saying he's progressing nicely in the transition from right tackle to left tackle. One thing, it makes me nervous. This is the second time I've read this now. The Browns' offense so far in training camp, at least the passing offense, we don't look good. We are struggling mightily in the pass offense. I read the other day, we just talked about all these injuries in our secondary. So our starting offense is going up against Denzel Ward and a bunch of no-names, and we still can't move the ball.
Like, it doesn't shock me at all, though.
Yeah, but then I also read, I might have been in the same thing, like camp standouts were like Hooper, Harrison Bryant, Odell Beckham. I'm like, that's the passing offense, okay?
Yeah. They're standouts because when they get, but you can have a big play here and there and still score 0 points.
Yeah.
So they said the timing's way off. And to me, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this. Then what if Baker's not good?
So let's break this down into two things.
Are we talking Baker?
No, I'm going to start with the timing and all that, and how the offense doesn't look great. Is that really surprising to anybody sitting at this table?
No.
So literally they've gone through, what is it, day 13 of training camp? Everything else has been all virtual. You have a brand new system, all new coaching. You've got guys that haven't been in this system being brought in. Like, it's not crazy to me at all that this is happening.
I'm not saying they should look crisp, but you should see progress. And we're not seeing any progress. We look just as bad on day 13 as we did on day 1.
I think they've only been in pads, though, man, for like...
Yeah, the thing is,
but timing has nothing to do with pads.
Yeah, but I mean,
timing has nothing to do with pads. We work on timing in 7-on-7s and just your receiver drills.
But you've only been doing that for 2 weeks. 13, not even that.
Yeah, 13 days is a long time in football.
It? I don't know, man.
That's all. I mean, that's most teams get like 2 weeks of practice and they play their first game.
I don't know.
And here's the thing. We keep talking about this shortened off season, but because of no preseason games, training camp's actually like a week and a half longer than it normally would be. Going into game 1, they're going to have like a week longer of camp than they would have had if it was all normal.
But with no live reps other than live scrimmages against each other. Against guys that they've been like, if you're
and we can't move the ball against the players in the scheme right now.
Well, then maybe our defense is really good.
We did say earlier in the show though that learning, switching into a defensive scheme, not quite as difficult if you know what you're doing than it is to learn a whole new offensive scheme. So
yeah, and it's a whole new offense for everybody.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if they were here last year or not. Right. Everybody's new in this scheme.
Yeah, I mean it's worrisome going into this year. I mean, and some of the reporting, and reporters or whatnot. How many of those reporters said last year that the Browns were awesome, looking great, everything, training camp, they're on fire, and then we came out and we were terrible. So that might play in a little bit. That's the part of like what you said, Josh. We're relying on these reports that are coming out from Joe Schmo at Clevelander.com or something saying that the Browns look terrible today or whatnot, but we don't know. Yeah, it's words on a paper.
We can't use our eye test like we've been able to do. I remember last year watching the preseason game against the Bucks, Tampa Bay, and we had our first team out there. I think it was like the first half, and we couldn't score. We couldn't move the ball, and it was like...
It was Baker, the starting line.
Yeah.
And that was basically it.
Yeah. Odell wasn't out there.
Odell, Jarvis, and Joku were all out. And I remember thinking, we just couldn't move the ball because, our starting receivers weren't out there.
Turns out,
no.
Looking back, we had penalties and stuff in that preseason game. I mean, and then it was just indicative of what Freddie had that team doing. It was just undisciplined garbage.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
I don't care if we are a little bit off in the first few games, but if we start the game and it's like an offside penalty the first play of the game, I'm going to be like, here we go.
With an empty stadium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dead silence.
You can actually hear the other guys go, you idiot.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. I don't know. They're going to have to do something too with like the cadence count because like defensive players are really just sitting there just.
Guys, all I got to say is get ready for a weird year, a weird season.
Oh,
and
I'm excited.
I mean, at least we get the Browns, they get to start with the tune-up game of the Ravens week 1.
Yeah, it's like Ohio State versus Kent State.
So you got them week 1. Then you get a team like the Bengals who really, there's some people out there like, oh, yeah, you can expect big things, but really no expectations for
which
them.
is a dangerous team.
Yes.
That's an extremely dangerous game.
Nothing to lose kind of mentality for the Bengals.
Yeah, so it's scary to see, what could happen the first couple weeks.
If we had a complete roster out there, I would be like, well, hey, we'll be okay.
Right. That's what scares me is
we're going into shootout games, basically, it looks like, with our defense, and our offense isn't even a shootout kind of team.
That's the thing.
It's a ground and pound.
That's what scared me right now is our offense was supposed to be what carried us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
clock management.
And, that's the side of the ball that's struggling right now. So, excuse me. So, again, I don't think we should look like we're clicking on all cylinders, but we should see progress from day 1 to day 13.
Yeah.
You all right over there, Blake?
Yeah, God bless you.
A little bit of a frog in my throat.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm way more worried than I was a couple of weeks ago when we picked all those games and I had to win in all them games. So it's I'm excited for the season and how we're like, man, football's here. I'm excited. I could have used maybe one more week to see if we got some of these other guys back or signed somebody in. Because if you sign somebody now, they got 14 days and it's game day.
My thing is, I was literally watching Central Alabama playing or something last night, and I was stoked. I was like, man, this is awesome. I've completely, as much as I love the Indians, I'm ready for some Browns. Like,
agreed.
Very, very
and this
excited.
year, so as a Buckeyes fan, it's usually, okay, get all hyped up on Saturday, just soak in that sweet Buckeyes victory because then, Sunday's probably not going to turn out so well. And I don't get that this year.
Right.
No, you're just going to be depressed all weekend. So you're like, man, I'm glad I got off work Friday. Can't wait to go back to work on Monday, talk about how bad we stink.
Right.
Gosh, I don't know. I as a Browns fan, literally, we could roll out garbage on Sunday next week, and I'd be like, hey, Cincinnati's coming to town Thursday. We're gonna kill them.
Right.
We're gonna crush them. We're gonna be okay. I'm very nervous. Very, very nervous heading into this first game.
Yeah, because I expect big things. This is supposed to be a QB-friendly offense. It was supposed to fit like a glove. Baker was supposed to be able to step in here, and this was tailor-made for him to succeed. And we just haven't seen it so far in camp. So
do you want to get back on that Baker conversation too? Because we've also talked about this, where we think that it won't take long before Stefanski will just be like, Case, get your helmet on. You're coming in.
Well, Stefanski has that relationship with Case Keenum from Minnesota. Yeah. So there is history there. But the thing is, like, I love Baker. And I do think Baker's the guy, but I got to see it, though. I mean, we saw it his rookie year, so I'm still believing in that. Last year, I blame everything on Freddie. I mean, everything. Yep. I mean, I stubbed my toe one day, and it was Freddie's fault. So
I blame 99% on Freddie. Freddie didn't make Baker come in 30 pounds overweight.
I'll give you that.
You don't know that. He could have been taking him out for dinners at Spaghetti Warehouse and stuff like that.
But there was no discipline with Freddie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
He should have been on him. But he wanted to be buddy. And there was no respect there from anybody by the end of the team. No. Yeah, a couple games in, you could tell. I was like, this is undisciplined, disrespectful. But it seems like Baker's done the right things. He's gotten in shape. He's been putting in the work. I haven't heard a word from him. He's not out there bashing reporters or getting in arguments with people on social media. He's just working.
Yep.
Those all point to a guy who's getting ready to step it up.
Yeah, came out in a report kind of and said, he kind of lost himself last year in the season. So, I mean, he's coming out, and I agree. I mean, have we seen any new commercials yet? I don't think we have.
No, Live Sports just dropped all their new commercials. He is not in them.
Yeah, so, hey, we're sitting good there. That's changed. That's one of the things we said, hey, stay out of the commercials, put some work on the football field. I was a Baker Mayfield fan for multiple years before he was with Cleveland. I still have hope, that he is the guy. I want him to be the guy. I don't want to start over again because I think that's doom for Stefanski, because I know we do have Case Keenum. We're high on him. Some of the reports we said, Justin mentioned it, they're showing highlights of him throwing picks in practice.
Every time I see a defensive highlight, number 5's in there.
Yeah, so, it's... I don't know, a lot of the things, and it's crazy. A couple years back, I'd be high on the Browns, like, no matter what going into the season. Now we have all this talent where I'm like, man, I don't know.
Hole here, hole there.
I'm a little worried, even though we got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Baker Mayfield, and Njoku, Jarvis, Odell on the offensive side. But
now here's one thing, too, to take with a grain of salt about, like, training camp and everything. For, like, we talked about, the offense isn't looking as good as it should or we think it should. I mean, these guys are rolling out there and they're running plays, and I wouldn't say a lot of times, but there are times when they're, all right, at this time I'm going to try this and see what happens. And you don't have to be perfect at training camp. It's more of like, let's try to make this throw and see if it works. Okay, it didn't work. I'm not going to make that throw, but it goes down as an interception for the defense.
Right.
Where in a real game, Baker's like, yeah, I wouldn't have thrown that. I just wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or they got new receivers out there running routes or tight ends that he's like, hey, this play, no matter what, throw it to Harrison Bryant. Just see what he can do. Well, I got picked off. Well, I wouldn't have thrown it to him anyway. Yeah.
Right.
That kind of stuff. So training camp can be a little misleading because they're trying stuff. It's kind of like going to the driving range and like, all right, I'm going to turn my wrist a little bit this way. Okay, that didn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Still hit it right.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And that, Stefanski, you could see that. Maybe Hooper hasn't gotten a bunch of looks and he's like, hey, Baker, run, this play here, throw it to Hooper. No matter what, get Hooper the ball. And he's triple covered. Baker's like, hey, I got picked. Coach told me to throw it to him no matter what. So I could see that a little bit because you got to see in the connection. It's going to take time. I know that Hooper and Baker look good. Hooper worked out with them, but, it took a long time for Odell to even kind of click last year.
I don't think it ever clicked. I don't think it ever clicked.
And I will say that defenses do typically get the benefit of the doubt, the upper hand, whatever you want to call it, in training camp and in practices and stuff because they're going against their offense. Like,
right,
it's kind of hard for the offense to trick your own defense.
Right,
you're there every day. You're going against it every day. It's not the same as going against a different team.
Right. Yeah, and that'll be because like as of right now, I don't know really what our camp's doing. Is our camp getting ready for week 1 and our defense is kind of doing what Baltimore's supposed to be doing and we're trying to get our offense, to figure out what's going to work against that? Or are we still in the stage of, hey, we're still learning the offense, defense, you're just going to run, our typical Browns defense setups against our offense? Like, where are we at in the game prep for week 1?
We better be preparing for Baltimore next week.
Should be, you would think. I mean, this is the one game that you get the longest, aside from after your bye week, but you get a long time to prep for week 1.
Yeah.
No preseason games to worry about, so get ready for Baltimore.
And how much of the practice time is like, hey, our offense, we need to get the offense clicking, but hey, we're going against Lamar Jackson in 14 days, so defense, we're going to focus a lot on defense. You got to get some type of look. I don't know who the Browns, a lot of times they put a wide receiver and a quarterback, type of thing to like anticipate the running. Well, I can tell you right now, there's no anticipating what Lamar Jackson's going to do because there's nobody as fast and doesn't when he makes a cut, he doesn't stop. A lot of guys are fast, but when they have to stop and change speed, it takes them, not Lamar Jackson. No. So it'll be interesting. Week 1's going to come here quick. I'm excited for it, but always a little worrisome.
Yeah, I almost think it's better to look at the reports about the 7-on-7 drills and what happened between a quarterback and the receivers and how are they connecting with, without all that crap going on with the line, because they're not playing full speed. And if you get close to the quarterback, they have to stop.
Yeah.
So once you get to the 11-on-11s, it's like, it's not really, there's just so much faking it going on. But 7-on-7 is a little more, Yeah, you don't have the pressure in your face, but those guys are being covered.
Yep.
So,
and in like typical Cleveland fashion, we could like go into next week and be like, oh my goodness, we could be doing the show Sunday or Monday or whenever we're doing it and going, they've been holding out on us. Holy crap. Myles Garrett had 7 sacks. He broke Lamar Jackson's leg.
Right.
That was awesome. No offense to Baltimore fans or anything out there, though, but I would be cheering and rooting.
You can offend them. They're Baltimore fans.
Yeah,
You can offend them.
They weren't raised right.
Right. So, no, and I hope that that's the case. And it's kind of like
too.
Josh's, I was real high when everything was like, getting ready for the season. We were making all those picks, and Josh was like, hey, guys, you guys might want to remember, how many times have they broke your heart or whatnot. Like, I'm picking them to lose this game, and we're like, you're crazy. Now I'm more like, maybe Josh was a prophet back then a couple weeks ago.
Not the way I wanted to be, but the way I've learned.
Right.
Well, it's tough.
Well, so we talked about the Browns offense as a whole sputtering maybe a little bit. I do want to touch on a couple of the bright spots before we get out of here, though. We already talked about Nick Harris has been a big bright spot in camp. I've read, by all accounts, Kareem Hunt it's like we built him in a lab for this offense. They said he's just absolutely dominating this wide zone scheme. And then by all accounts, Odell, he's literally unguardable right now in camp, they say.
He's one of the best receivers in the league. He really is. You watch him play receiver, like him or hate him, the dude is really good when he's healthy.
They say he's locked in. He's bought completely into the system, and he's just like he's untouchable. Nobody can guard him. You can't even cover him with 2 people right now. So hopefully he stays healthy. And then the last 2 people I wanted to touch on are 2 tight ends. The passing game as a whole struggling a little bit, but every time I watch a Browns highlight, it's either Austin Hooper or Harrison Bryant catching the touchdown. And you know who I haven't seen?
David Njoku.
I told Justin on the way up here today, I'd start dangling him out there as a trade for something on defense because I know we just talked him into staying. We said we didn't want to trade him and all this stuff, but he hasn't been practicing a lot because of an ankle injury, and he's just watching these 2 guys go out there. From what I'm seeing, Harrison Bryant is leaps and bounds ahead of where David Njoku is right now,
which is a lot to say for a rookie tight end.
Yep. But we I hate to say it, but we called that a long time ago. We said, even before he was like, hey, I'm getting out of here, we said, I don't know, like, but Austin Hooper is really, really good, and this Harrison Bryant kid, they're saying he's really, really good. Well, it's not a lot of room left. Like, what are we gonna do with David?
Everything I'm seeing is David still can't catch.
Yeah.
And Harrison Bryant and Austin Hooper literally catch everything.
Well, and that's a problem we've seen with David the whole time. And it's like, you can fix route running, you can work on that stuff, but if you can't catch the ball, that kind of sticks with you.
And
or doesn't, I guess.
And you're an unwilling blocker sometimes.
So how much of us talking him into staying just to drive up his trade value?
I think,
if you got a guy asking for a trade, teams are going to lowball you offers. We talked this guy in, put out reports that he's bought into our system. He wants to be here, and now we start shopping him. And, we instead of 5th round picks, we start getting 3rd round picks.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I did see today in a report when I was just kind of, getting ready for the episode, Njoku, a possible trade, like a guy you could get rid of, guy you could bring in. You guys might know this guy, Malik Hooker.
Oh my gosh.
So that's one of they didn't pick up his 5th-year option in Indy. He's still there. Has 7 career interceptions and 34 games played. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
he's a stud.
He is out there.
My guy. I'd take him.
So that's one of the moves out there. So, I was right last week on the Malcolm Smith. So fingers crossed.
Keep calling him.
Speak into existence, Zach.
Fingers
I would
crossed.
take Malik Hooker
absolutely
in a heartbeat, especially if we can get him for a guy who might not even play for us much at all this year.
Yeah, and now we might have to throw in, a pick,
whatever,
because I would do that. So that was just one of the things I saw was out there, and hey, they kind of need a tight end there. They do have Jack Doyle. Jack Doyle's hurt though. They have a former basketball player right now as their tight end, and Mo Alley Cox. He was a basketball player for I think VCU in college. So they need tight end because Eric Ebron's in Pittsburgh now.
Yeah.
Man, that would be awesome. I would take that. And you know why it won't happen though? Because I want it to happen, and because he played for Ohio State. And I don't know what it is, but the Browns, they just don't like those Ohio State players.
Denzel Ward was an anomaly.
Yep. But that pretty much wraps up another week in training camp. The injuries have been killing us. Who we want to see. Thanks for checking out another episode. We're only a few weeks out from some real football games to talk about. I legit couldn't be more excited. Remember to check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And then, thanks for checking us out every single week. Couldn't be more happy. I think we're 4 months into this now, which is pretty crazy, and we haven't even had real football to talk about yet. So, right. Keep tuning in, strap yourselves in, because once the season starts, I think it's going to get real good.
It's going to be a wild ride, and we can't wait to go on it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
If the Browns are terrible, you're definitely going to watch this show because it's going to be.
You want to hear somebody talk about how terrible they are.
Yeah.
And we won't hold back.
No, I don't know any of those guys personally, so I'm not trying to make any friends.
Right.
So yeah, tune in. We got one more week of training camp next week to wrap up, and then before you know it, we're going to be talking about real football games. So thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you guys all next week.